Hello everyone, hello Joe, we're back again.
We are back.
It's very hot here still. Is it very hot there?
No, it's not too bad actually. I've not even bothered opening the window.
Blimey, lucky you. I'm stuck in this hot room with fans on all over the place. It's probably not really hot, it's just me with my low level of tolerance.
Yeah, maybe.
But
maybe. I do feel for you. I do feel for you.
I do hate summer. Let's not dwell on that. Let's be cheerful. Hello, everyone. It's Phone Show Chat 902. It's Monday, the 20th of July, and this is PSC Drop-In 5. We've done 4 of these, hence this is number 5. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got Jim Powell coming back on. No, not a couple of weeks. In about a month, actually, 4 weeks. And he has got the new side phone, which you and I and him were eyeing up, weren't we?
Yeah, it looks quite
Does
smart,
look quite
doesn't
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
He says that it's finally arrived. I've just got to set it up. Initial impressions are that I like it. It has some weight and the screen looks nice. I got the compact QWERTY with it, as I don't think I could stand T9 for long. The phone setup is pretty straightforward. Installing the featured app repositories is again straightforward. But I was thinking, how am I going to drive a smartwatch? It's pretty fiddly to install an APK. The inbuilt file manager doesn't do it. Therefore, you can't give it permission to. Eventually, I sent myself the Moto Watch APK that I'd used an APK extractor to sort out one of my other phones. It's installed, but it took me many attempts to log in with my Moto account with the fiddly on-screen keyboard. I'm not surprised. The downside generally is that it keeps crashing at the moment. So he's restarting it and keeping trying. He's certainly got some patience there. I had to enable WhatsApp to install it from another unknown source. Most of the Google Watch app is working, and it just crashes whenever I try to select apps to allow notifications to be sent to the watch, which is not very helpful. I also installed MeWe, hurrah! And it said it wouldn't work as it needs Google Play services. Boo. But actually it does work. So that's obviously a load of bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jim's coming on the middle of August, so we'll get more update information then. But he has said that he'll pass it around the team when he's... But I said to him, don't pass it too quickly because it sounds like he's really enjoying it, regardless of those initial things that he's talking about there. Just to explain, this is a kind of dumb phone. It's kind of smart dumb phone with some apps. But the interesting thing about it is that the bottom keypad you can take away and replace it with other ones, like, for example, an iPod style twizzle around kind of media control thingy. Jog wheel, that's the word. And it also you can replace it with a T9 or a QWERTY, like we said, and it just should be quite interesting. I see Malcolm Bryant's just arrived. Perhaps we'll let Malcolm in because he might have some thoughts on this side phone, and he can tell us what he thinks. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Welcome. Yes, we can indeed. Welcome along. We were just talking about the side phone because Jim Powell, I was saying, he's coming on the show in a few weeks to tell us more about it. But he's got his side phone now, and it looks kind of, well, obviously really retro because of the T9. But there's also a QWERTY keyboard in the style of the Sony Ericsson, whatever it was called, the P1, was it?
P1, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and there's also, as Joe was just saying, a jog wheel for kind of iPod type usage. So I don't know if you know anything about this, Malcolm, or have any thoughts. If you do,
I did see that Jim had put in for one, and I think I might have said, all that looks interesting. Be curious to find out what you think about it. I mean, it does bring back memories of those lovely Sony devices, and they had for those who don't know, they had a little mini keyboard, and each key had 2 letters on it, and depending on whether you touch the left or the right hand side of the key, you get a different letter. And
Yeah.
that sounds it sounds like it would be hopeless and just wouldn't work. But actually, it worked really well in practice,
Hmm.
and I used to love it.
Hmm.
Back in the day. So yeah, I'll be interested. Jim's great at that, isn't he? He goes
Yeah.
through all this stuff, and the rest of us, we all live it through him. He just gets the excitement, and we all kind of live the excitement secondhand through him.
Well, he's very
One of the,
generous as well, Jim, isn't he? He always lends it out.
Yeah, because
yeah,
he
yeah.
passes it around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly does. One of the things that you missed in the last few minutes was, which might be of interest to you, is Jim talking about the APK. He said that it's a bit fiddly to install the APK. The inbuilt file manager doesn't do it. Therefore, you've got to give it permission. Then he tried to get his smartwatch attached, and he couldn't. He got the APK for Moto Watch, the Moto Watch app, and eventually he got it on there, but it was a real fiddle. But in any case, he did eventually. But it seems like when he installed WhatsApp, he had to install it from an unknown source. He also tried to put MeWe on it, and it said that it doesn't work because it needs Google Play services. But actually, he then afterwards said, "Well, it's working. MeWe is working on it." So this kind of unknown sources, Play services, APK, it's all just up your street, really, isn't it?
I mean, yes, it is, but it sounds a bit puzzling from what you've said. I mean, maybe I'll reach out to him and see if I can help. But it sounds like he's kind of worked through it and got most of it working. But yes, this stuff is a bit of a minefield. If you go off the mainstream, and you start sideloading things, as some of our members know, it is much more tricky than it used to be. And Google does put various obstacles in people's way. So yeah, I might reach out to him and see if he needs any help.
Cool, thanks. But it does look a really nice bit of kit. It looks like it's really well made, and it's got nice. I mean, for example, on the glass on the top part of the screen where you actually have the touch screen, it's beautifully rounded. You can see that from the photos there, Joe. It's just like it looks like an Apple product, actually.
It looks very premium, doesn't it?
Yeah. One of the things that people are complaining about it is that the keypad, whatever keypad you've got on it, is not backlit. But I've got a feeling that Jim said that they were working on that for an update because they could fix it in software or reissued the keyboard or something. So that was one of the things people are complaining about. Well, basically what they're saying is that, if you're in some dingy pub somewhere, you can't see the keys.
Yeah, makes sense. That does make sense.
Just on that note, Ted, I don't think I'd use this as my main phone.
No.
I mean, it's kind of in the name, isn't it? Side phone. It's intended to be a secondary device, I think. A little plaything, if you like. But yeah, I really like it. I really like the look of it. And there's loads of scope for what can potentially go in that bottom square, isn't there?
Yes, there is, depending on how well they support it. We've got the Moto mods background to lean on and see. They eventually got about 10 different mods out, and a couple or three of them were from third parties, but there wasn't a huge amount, to be fair. So yeah, it depends if it takes off or not with this one. But yeah, I think it's got potential. And as I say, Jim will be on in a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and he'll tell us how he's getting on at that point and see how we go. Phoneshowchat.uk is our website. I forgot to say earlier. So head across there for links to all the stuff we're going to be talking about today and all our shows. Malcolm, have you got anything you'd like to raise or talk about or chuck in the pot today, or are you just hanging out?
No, just hanging out primarily. I mean, there was one thing that I was curious about from one of your recent posts, Ted, which was on the TCL device, where you were talking about the hiding the camera shutter, and there were, I think, it had settings where you could either you have the kind of default arrangement that you get on most phones, or you could make it so that that status bar was completely black, so that it whatever colors the rest of the screen was, that status bar would be black, and so it would essentially hide the camera hole. Mm-hmm. Or I think there was a third option that kind of moved it down the screen as well. And the reason I was interested in that was that is that developers generally have some control over that stuff. So you can there are commands that you can give in code that control how the status bar appears and how the area below the status bar appears. So I was wondering whether that is is that something that only applies to their default launcher, or is your understanding that actually it's applied system-wide across all the apps?
No, it's not system-wide, because if you put a separate launcher on it, for example, then it goes away. Also, if you turn the what's it mode, like a lot of things, if you turn the mode from like max sync and back again, it disappears. It goes back to basic. Turning the screen up to max sync mode or color mode or any of the other non-standard modes, there's a few things that breaks every single time you do it. One of them is the themed icons in wallpaper settings, and another one is that it breaks what was the other thing? I forgot what it was. There was two things that it breaks. I'll think of the other one in a minute. But yeah, there are some things that they default back to the launcher's default settings.
Okay.
And it's only when you do that switch that it does it. And I tried to explore it a bit further, and it just wasn't really. I wasn't finding anything else to do with it. One of the people in the group said that was very 2014 or something. Said quite rightly, I think, is that many phones, or certainly a lot of phones back then, gave you the option to hide the whole of that top array if you wanted to. I actually quite like it, and when I'm using my TCL phone, I have it turned on. I have to admit. Because, well, one of the reasons is that the phone is 7.2 inches screen, so you've got loads of room to play with anyway. And I just think it looks neater, retro as it may be.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a couple of generations ago, I think it was Android 15, Google brought in a new policy for developers that said that when you scroll any app, that it has to scroll the whole screen and it has to scroll under the status bar, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And that's a new policy that developers have to adhere to. And actually it's kind of forced by the operating system now. So if you look at almost any app these days, if you like MeWe, for example, or WhatsApp or any of them, if you're scrolling a whole page of text and images, it'll actually, when you look at the top of the screen, it will scroll under the status bar, and you'll still be able to see part of it. And so that's kind of mandated behavior now. So it kind of got me curious as to whether TCL is doing something to kind of mess with that or give more options around that. Just caught my eye. Yeah,
they're in China, so they do what they like, can't they?
Yeah, I guess so.
But you get that old they call it the Dotch, the DOTCH, and you can switch it between the default hide front camera without moving status bar is the one that we're talking about. But yes, hide front camera and move status bar is the third one that you referred to.
That's
where
right.
You can. All you're doing is shift. I don't know why you would do that, really. Shifting the icons down into the screen, and all you're leaving in that top bar is the camera, so that you don't see the camera hole in the panel, I suppose. But I quite like it, and it's interesting what you're saying about the about the whole thing. The TCL Nextpaper 60 Ultra. I'll put a link in the show notes to my review of that because I pushed it out a week or so ago, and it is big. That's the main problem. I really really like using it, but it's just big. And there's something really nice. Joe, you've had hands-on with my other Nextpaper screen, and it just, there's something about it, isn't there? It's smooth and it's silky to the touch. There's something refreshing about it.
I was going to say exactly that. It's not just for viewing; it's the way it feels as well. It just feels that bit different. It's quite nice, quite pleasant to use. So yeah.
So that is quite big though, right? So was it about 6.7 or something
like that? No,
7.2. 7.2. Holy.
It's a phablet.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a phablet. I remember when we had the 7.2 inch, was it 7.2 inch, the HTC Flyer, and we thought, good grief, that is so huge. I took a photograph of my my Nextpaper 60 Ultra the other day up against the Dell Streak. When the Dell Streak came out with its 5-inch screen, we all thought, this is just ludicrous.
I remember.
How can anybody use a Dell Streak?
Yeah, I remember that really well. It's exactly what you said. People were kind of making fun of it and saying it's ridiculous because who could ever want a phone that size? And now, of course, that's small. I mean, for me, I like the basic Samsung size. So the S25 and which I have,
yes,
and the S26 base model. Which I guess is about 6, just over 6, maybe 6.1 or something like that. 6.1, yeah. And that to me is just the right size. And when it starts to get bigger than that, then I start to struggle a little bit. And I guess all these manufacturers are responding to the market. And I mean, Joe's probably the guy for this in terms of what sells and what doesn't. But I guess it's the big phones that sell right now. Is that right, Joe?
It is, but there is a market for smaller phones. There is a lot of people that do come in for smaller phones. I was going to ask you guys what you thought of the iPhone Mini when that was out, because I thought that was a really good proposition from Apple, and I still don't know why they didn't carry it on. I know why, it was the sales, but I think it was a good proposition for them. Did you guys like the iPhone Mini?
The thing that what you can say about Apple is that they scaled their on-screen elements brilliantly, and now Google are starting to do that as well with Pixel devices. When I use my Pixel 9, it just feels like that same equation that Apple have with their smaller devices, and it just feels like they've done it right. They've obviously copied Apple, and kudos to Apple for having got in there and done that, and it worked really well. I was also playing with my Pixel 3 the other day, Malcolm, and that's even smaller than the Samsung Galaxy S25, S26. But there's something just lovely about it, particularly with the fingerprint scanner on the back.
Yes.
In the hand, you can reach anywhere at all with I can with my hands. And it just feels like it's the perfect size for a phone to me. And everything else is like two-handed.
Yeah, I had one during I think maybe even I had yours or you had mine at some point, or maybe I'm getting confused. But I certainly had a Pixel 3. It broke, and I don't have it anymore. But you're absolutely right. It was a lovely size, and I really enjoyed using that device. And back even earlier than that, I used to like the Sony compact range. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Those? And I still have one of those, the ZX1 compact, I think. And that is a really dinky little phone. But that had that phone or that series of phones, because they did about three models, I think, or 3 iterations, that had a real following. And there were a lot of people who were very sad when they stopped making that and went to the 21.9 size. But everything I've read online is that the smaller phones just, you go onto places like Reddit and you see posts that say, why can't we have small phones? And everybody piles in and says, yeah, we want small phones, but that's inside that little kind of bubble of tech nerds, and out in the general population. People are consuming media and they're carrying them in their handbags, and the ladies and they just want the bigger size, I guess. So I don't think the smaller phones are so profitable.
Do you think that what I was saying just now about Apple and the Pixel with Material 3 Expressive now, do you think that the same applies to your phone with One UI, the way One UI is going? Do you get that feeling of actually someone is starting to make this UI better and good?
Yeah, I do. I think it's fair to say that Google's learning from Apple and vice versa, right? So each new version of iOS or of Android, we might look around and say, well, it's not very exciting. There's no, all the innovation is in the past, maybe foldables aside. But actually, they are iterating on the design language, and definitely it's in both operating systems, it's getting more ergonomic, it's getting better to use. There aren't so many irritations in general. So yeah, I think both the companies have kind of followed each other and learnt from each other, really.
Mm-hmm. I was quite taken aback when they, on the recent update to 8.5, they took away the pill. Well, gave you the option of taking away the pill from behind the battery percentage. That made a huge difference for me. I know that I've banged on about this a lot, but it was very simple, and it needed one setting to do it, and they did it. And when I look at I've got a bigger Samsung than you, the S24, but even so, I think that it just works so much better. My eyes I know that I'm not the youngest person, but my eyes can just see it now, and it's fine, and it works really well. That's the kind of element I think I'm talking about, them thinking about going forward, what works and what doesn't. And as I say, I think Google have got the Pixel pretty good on that. I love the font on the Pixel. Have you still got a Pixel there, Malcolm?
Yeah, I use it. I've got a Pixel 10 Pro, which I use as my dev phone. And no doubt when my wife is ready to change her phone, she'll lay claim to it. So I'll give it to her and get something else. But no, it's a lovely phone. And like you like the pure Android experience, although obviously you're kind of testing different things, as am I. But there is something still about the pure Pixel experience that's really very nice, I think. And they've done a good job.
Yeah, I like the font. The default font, I think, is just perfect. And every time I pick up my Pixel 9, I look at it and think, why aren't I using this phone? It's so nice to look at. But again, I think it's just very Apple-ish, and that's what one of the things they did right, and it's made its way out. In some cases, Joe, a bit too far. They were talking about the Honor today in the group about everyone getting updated their firmware to July security, which I think the ones that were on the V6 were waiting for. Have you got your V6 yet?
No, I need to sort that out. But I've got some product that's overdue, so I haven't really spoken to him much recently. I'll get on them, but I'll have to look at my 600 Pro that I've currently got and my 8 Pro and update them. I've not touched them for a while because I'm still in love with my Moto Razr Fold, which I scratched. On that note, Ted, is that what draws you to Motorola? Because the software is Pixel-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, to a degree. What I like about Motorola, the user interface, is that they kind of do their own thing to some degree. Like, what I was just saying about the battery percentage. They've stuck with the tried and tested old-fashioned, don't move it, a bit like Sony do now. It's like, leave it alone. It works fine. Just leave the figures up there in the corner. Don't try and get clever with it. Now, as it happens, I think Pixel have done that pretty well because they've made it big enough for me to be able to see. But they still haven't done what Samsung have done, which is the option to take away the pill from behind it, and that would be the cherry on the cake. But yeah, I do like the way Motorola have done the UI, absolutely, and I've banged on about it enough over the years. Well, just to finish off what I was saying about the Honor, though, the Honor 600 Pro, Gareth Williams was talking to me today privately, saying that he's got one coming, and he's looking forward to the desktop mode particularly. And I had a quick look reminded myself in YouTube of what this desktop mode is like, and it does actually look okay. It looks better than what the BBK group were doing. Not as good as what Motorola are doing, but somewhere in between. And I quite like the look of that. Have you had a look at that yourself, Joe?
No, I should have a look at it, really, shouldn't I? I only just recently used the Connect app with my Razr Fold, didn't I?
Yeah.
Finally, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, I'm definitely going to make use of that more. It's really good feature.
Busy chap.
Joe, I saw the Razr Fold you brought it to the pub meet, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Yeah, and I had a little play with it, and it's a really nice device. You've I guess had one for a while now. What's your overall feel for the device? How are you getting on with it?
I think it's fantastic, and I love the V5, and I would say there's a few bits that are superior, but overall my experience isn't too different. The battery life is better than the V5 actually, because it's got a slightly bigger battery. The battery's brilliant. The camera system, if anyone's seen my review of the Signature, I love the camera system on there, and it's pretty much the same. So the camera's excellent. I haven't used the pen enough, but when I have to use the pen, I've really enjoyed that on it as well. So yeah, there's not really much to not like. It's a really decent device. I'm really sold on foldables now.
I have to say I was so tempted when I saw that device, and I think maybe Jeremy had one and Mike had one. Different foldables. I forget what they brought, but I think we had 2 or 3 foldables, didn't we? There and yeah, I was kind of lusting after them and still am. Haven't quite done anything about it, but yeah.
Perhaps the Galaxy 8 S8, the wide one coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will be silly expensive, but I like the idea of the wider form factor. I did eye up the actually I think Jeremy had this. He had this the Fold 7, didn't he? The Samsung Fold 7. Am I right, Joe?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure he did.
And I had a little play with that, and I'd already had a play in one of the retail outlets, and it was just a little bit too when closed, it was still a little bit too narrow for me, and I think I would prefer the form factor of the wider foldable. Which I guess is more like the original Pixel Fold, right? Which you've had, Ted.
I've still got mine, and the it's not the S8, of course. It's the Z Fold 8.
Z Fold 8. That yep.
From what we can make out so far, it looks almost exactly the same. Maybe a little bit wider than the original Pixel Fold that I've got here. Yeah.
I think though it'll be interesting to see what weight it comes in at, because the Pixel Fold I think had a little bit of there were a few people who were turned off by the weight, right?
283 grams.
Yeah.
I'm itching to say things, but I'm under embargo for at work through work. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on the 22nd.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm sure it will come in, at a lighter weight than the original Pixel Fold, and so yeah, whether it's going to be enough to make me open my checkbook or not, I don't know, but
it's quite nice though to have some heft. I think when I pick up my Pixel Fold, I think this is actually nice. I don't see it necessarily as a disadvantage. It sits in the hand okay. Yes, it's heavy, but so what? What's the disadvantage in it being lumpish?
I guess just not so pocketable, or just kind of weighs you down a little bit if you're walking around. A lot of people wearing summer clothes at the moment, and you're carrying their phones in their pockets, and I guess if it's got a bit of heft to it, that's a little bit more uncomfortable. But
and it's funny you say that, actually, because that's how I broke or scratched my screen on my Razr Fold, actually. I think I was wearing shorts, which obviously the pockets on shorts aren't quite as deep, so it slipped out. Yeah.
Oh dear. So around the corner, the 22nd, which is in 2 days. We're recording on Monday, so that's Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we'll find out the things that have not been leaked to buggery anyway.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
One thing I wanted to just mention to you, which you might be interested in, Malcolm, was the whole Lineage OS thing, and a specific thing that I was complaining about to the developer of the Sony Xperia 10 Mark 7, which I'd put Lineage OS on, or rather Mike Warner had, and I could barely, one of the reasons I put it on there was because I could barely see the always on display. The Xperia 10 Mark 7 hasn't got an always on display. Lineage OS has on this build is supposed to have an always on display. So I put it on, or Mike did, and when I got it back here, I could barely see it. That's where I got to. So I reached out, as they say in America, to the developer of the Lineage OS build and told him about this. And I said, I'm not quite sure where I'm supposed to be putting this, because it's not really a bug, or is it a bug? And anyway, he said it was a bug. So I went through the bug reporting process, and then I got a personal message back from him within a couple of hours saying, well, I'll fix that. Don't worry, it'll be in the next build. And it'll be 31 point something times brighter. And so I kind of, left it. Then a few days later, I got the nightly build update come through, and sure enough, it was done. And so I sent him a message back and thanked him profusely, obviously. And I thought that you would just be interested in that responsiveness. I'm not sure that everyone gets exactly what they want in that kind of way, but I certainly did. There was a switch in code which only you and him would understand, no doubt. But it was to do with the auto brightness code. And he said, yeah, that was wrong, and I fixed it. And sure enough, it comes back now, and it does look indeed 31 point something times brighter.
Isn't that great? I mean, the thing about these Lineage builds and all of the custom ROMs, which I guess are not as popular now as they used to be, but Lineage still keeps a lot of them going, is that on the whole they're maintained by enthusiasts, right? And so they tend to be very responsive, because it's a kind of labor of love for them, as opposed to a part of their job, part of their daytime job. And so but yeah, it's I hope you offer to buy him a beer.
I wasn't quite sure how you do that, to be honest. I'm
joking with you. I don't know how either. But
no, I think if they have a coffee pot, they would probably say so. But he certainly didn't make that obvious if he did have. But yeah, maybe I should follow it up and say, "Can I buy you a beer?" You're quite right.
I mean, just to contrast that, I know that I have a moan about Google sometimes, and I hope probably people are sick of me going on about it, but to contrast it with the way that Google works, if you have a bug as a developer or as a user, actually, you can file a bug report with Google. There's something called their issue tracker Google something or other, and anybody can file a bug report. And I've certainly filed probably about a dozen bug reports with Google, and I'm sure they get thousands of bug reports from everybody who's using their devices, maybe hundreds of thousands. But in contrast to what you just described about this guy, who's in charge of the lineage build for the Xperia, it's like a black hole with Google. So you'll put these bug reports in, and sometimes you get an acknowledgement, but more often you don't. And then it just you have no idea. Is it been picked up? Is it being worked on? What's the status? And it's a bit disheartening, to be frank, because you think, well, I've gone to the trouble of submitting this bug report and providing evidence and so on, and it just goes into a black hole. And after a while, you think, well, why do I bother with this? But contrast that with what you just described, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. What you just described also describes MeWe as well, and to some degree, I think that MeWe, when we first went to MeWe 6 years ago or 7 years ago, whenever it was, I had as a group owner, I had a named person on the end of an email. I knew her name, and I could have an email exchange with her and tell her things that people were saying in the group and suggesting fixes, and she told me what was going on. And I guess that these organizations just get bigger and they cut back on staffing and money's tight and blah, blah, blah. And those are the kinds of things that just go. And now, as you know, what you just described Google like, that you could also describe MeWe as. It just goes into this black hole. Even more reason why it's so nice to work with these people that support the Lineage OS thing and other kind of things all over GitHub and the like.
Yeah. And again, I think it's because generally they're enthusiasts, right? And so that guy who you dealt with, he's probably hand coded a lot of that, and he feels a sense of ownership, personal ownership for it. And when somebody reports a bug, he wants to fix it. So more power to him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more power to him.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that I did in the last week, I don't know if you saw this story go through, either of you, was that I got my 3D printed Pebble watch charging dock.
Oh, yeah, I did see this. Yeah,
I saw it as well.
Looks rather smart.
Right. Yeah. And I've never had anything 3D printed before or know anything about 3D printing, but I put this appeal out in the group, and Phil Dawson piped up and said, I've got a 3D printer. And we had this kind of this pattern, this knitting pattern, which was I found on Reddit in the Pebble Watch group. And sure enough, I sent it by email to Phil. He put whatever it was into his 3D printer, and out comes this thing. And it works brilliantly. The reason that it was required was because the magnet on the back of the watch or on the puck, whichever one it is, I don't know, is just hopeless. It's so weak that if you just touch the cable, it falls away again. And so this little dock thingy, it allows you to put the cable attached to the puck, and the puck slides into the dock, and then the watch sits firmly on the front of the stand, and it works absolutely brilliantly. And that's basically free because someone wrote the knitting pattern presumably and made it available online. And People are just doing it. Phil Dawson's 3D printers, the Bamboo A1 Mini, Bambu A1 Mini, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well, because there were a few people kind of saying, what was it and how does it work? And he said that it costs about £120, I think. Not expensive.
149, Ted.
149. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got to obviously buy whatever the stuff that you use to put in there, or the TPU or the plastic or whatever it is. But yeah, I was really impressed with that, and I thought, that's the way we can go. 3D printing.
That's pretty nifty, isn't it? I don't really have any concept of how easy it would be to create one of those knitting patterns from scratch. I mean, it sounds really impressive that somebody kind of visualized what was needed and then presumably created the knitting pattern just out of their head. I mean, I'm sure there are some aids that can help you do this stuff.
I bet AI did it.
Quite possibly.
Well, maybe, but it's still impressive. It just as somebody who has not an artistic bone in my body, I'm impressed by that stuff.
Yeah, my sister was saying she could design things on Blender, but then it's converting that into the right format for the machine. But yeah, she said she.
What's Blender?
Some kind of 3D modeling type of thing, I believe.
Oh, right. Okay.
On the computer, though. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What else have I got? I've got my Moto watch, which I did a comparison on my blog with the Moto Watch Fit, and I sent my silver one to Jim Powell, and he sent me his black one. And the black one is so much nicer. I think in the end, Joe, you agreed with me when you saw it, even though you like your blingy one.
It does look smart.
But I've been using my Moto watch, the new round one, for the last few days, into weeks now, and I've not broken my use of it. I've carried on to test the battery, and I am concluding that with my average use, with the always on display on, I am getting 6 days of use. So they said it should be 13 days, but of course, that's in ideal conditions. Now, I'm not going down the gym or anything, but I am wearing it 24 hours a day, except when I'm in the shower, because it's not waterproof, unlike the Moto Watch Fit. But apart from that, I've had it on the whole time, and 6 days, maybe 6.5 at a push. For my average use, and the screen is actually really nice. I know this probably won't be much of any interest to you, Malcolm, because it's not Wear OS, but I think that there's a lot going on for it for the 90 quid it costs, frankly. And if you were doing gym stuff, there is some stuff in there. I don't know. Do we all need Wear OS?
I don't think we do. I did read even though you're right, I do focus on Wear OS. I was interested in your review, and I did read through it, and very good it was too. And I think that for many people, the features that a watch like that has are is just right. It's perfect. You get you get more battery life, you get some basic health stuff, you get notifications, you can tell the time, you get the essentials, and for a lot of people that's enough. My wife, for example, she has a Galaxy Watch 7, but she could just as easily have a watch like that, because she doesn't really use the smarts very much. She just uses it for the basics. So there's I would say a big proportion of potential wearable users for whom that's a great solution. And then there's another section of wearable users who are maybe more on the kind of nerdy or techie side, who like all the kind of cool things that you can do with Wear OS, which is really a kind of miniature version of Android. So it does give you more options. And yeah, as you know, that's a lot of the stuff I do is Wear OS for that reason. So I'm kind of very embedded in Wear OS, but I totally get why not everybody would want to be or need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway, I quite like the watch now, and I think I've got used to having the bigger kind of screen in some ways, and you do see more on it, Joe. So yeah, I'm kind of torn between the two. I still like the battery and the waterproofing of my other one, but I have kind of got used to this one now, so I'm half with you.
It bodes well for future Moto watches, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Watch this space.
Talking of but Moto, I've got a pair of speakers arrived today, and apparently, according to my old dad, they have arrived from the Motivator program, which will be really interesting. Two Moto sound flow speakers, which are supposed to work really cleverly with your phone, as long as your phone supports what's it called? Something wave? Minimum wave? No, not minimum wave. I can't remember. As long as the phone supports this kind of tech, then you put one speaker in one corner and one in the other. And if you carry the phone with you, then it changes the amount of volume that it throws at you as you walk across the room. So if you leave the phone in the middle of the room, as you move to the left, you'll get just the same amount of noise from the speaker on the left as you will from the right still. But if you take the phone with you, it reduces the volume of the one on the left and increases the one on the right. So it still sounds like stereo. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually very clever, isn't it?
Does that use ultra wideband or?
That's the one. I think that's what they use. Yeah, and only certain phones have got it in. Apparently, my signature has, and so it should work with it, and I'll be doing some testing on that coming up. But I did ask Gemini if it was unique to Motorola, and she said the tech is not unique, but what they're doing with it, no one else has done yet. So it'll be interesting to see what's what with that. So watch this space. What do you reckon to the Nothing Phone 4B? Are we all as bored with it already as everyone else is in the tech world?
Yeah, it doesn't excite me that much. I prefer the 4A Pro. Still want hands on with that.
Right.
Yeah. What about you? You interested in Nothing Phone 4B, Malcolm?
Not really. No. I haven't got into nothing phones. Yeah, just
I quite like what they do with the software. I think you would quite like what they do with the software, Malcolm.
I was about to say that, yeah, you might quite like to tinker with some of their bits and bobs they do.
Yeah, I should probably get one in and have a play with it.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
So that's £299. It's got a 5,200 milliamp hour battery. Unless you're in India, then it's 6,000. And it's got 45 mini LEDs on the back in terms of a glyph bar thingy, which is slightly different to the previous. But yeah, the specs are generally kind of dumbed down a bit. It's still got the essential key, and it's got Android 16 and 3 OS updates and 6 security, and it is a bit unexciting, really. The pricing for the Pixel, the new Pixel 11, has come out, and I think the Pixel Watch 5. The baseline Pixel 11 is £879. The base 11 Pro is 1,079. The base Pro XL is 1,279. The Pro Fold is 1,799. Unless you want more storage, and it goes up to £2,149. So my base one, which has got 256 gigabytes of storage, thankfully, is 879, which means that in 6 months it'll be 499. So I think I'll wait for that.
That's quite interesting, because I wasn't sure there's going to do a Pro Fold this year.
There was talk of that, yeah. There was talk about them skipping it, but obviously they've decided not to.
To go ahead,
yeah, going ahead with it. Pixel Watch 5 details, Malcolm, are a bit more scarce, I think, except that the renders and the pictures we've seen of them, including the one that was on the bottom of the ocean somewhere, look to me exactly like the 4 and the 3. Did you think?
Yeah, no, very much like the 4. I mean, they played in the kind of leaks and general rumor mill. They were talking a lot about the different colors. I think they've got like 4 different color straps or something like that. And maybe I'm cynical, but whenever they start talking about colors, I always think that's because there's not a lot in the actual hardware that's worth mentioning. So no, I think it's just going to be a small iteration from the 4. I have a 4. I know you have a 3. Yeah. And I have to say the 4 is a very good watch. I mean, I'm very, very happy with mine. And unless there's some last minute surprise about something in the 5 that really captures my attention, I think I'll just skip this generation and wait for the 6.
Maybe I should go to the 5. Perhaps it's time I skipped.
Yeah, your turn to skip. Yeah, you should. I think you should. I'm the devil on your shoulder now. I think with Google, they're very much like Apple now, aren't they? Where their main market is the US, and just doing very iterative updates. Even in design, they're keeping that design. Look, I guess once you've got something that works, why change it?
Yeah, it's very much about software with Google, isn't it?
Yeah.
The iterations are not hardware; they're much more to do with software and services, and they're just everything is baked into AI now, and Google are just going big time into Gemini, and everything is just they're trying really, really hard to get all their services blended into AI, aren't they?
Which you have to remember, that is actually their business, really. The fact that they're doing hardware is just an additional thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I suppose so. It doesn't look as though it's going to stop, though, does it? They keep going.
Yeah. Do you think though that they don't matter? Doesn't matter how much they actually make on the phones. It's just like a concept of what they think their software should look like on a phone. Do you think that's part of it?
I do think that to some degree that is, we'll get Malcolm's take on that, but I think to some degree that is true. Maybe not quite so true as it used to be, but because I think they've now decided that they do need to press on with the hardware and keep it going. But I think certainly previously it was about showcasing more Americanisms, the whole kind of software level to push out to other OEMs to say, look, this is what you can take away and do and go and do it, sort of thing. Malcolm?
Yeah, we're back in the day when Pixel was Nexus. That was very much, the view was that the Nexus phones were relatively inexpensive. They might not always be top of the range hardware, but the software was bang up to date. They had unlocked bootloaders, so you could put custom ROMs on them. As a developer, you could do pretty much anything with those phones. I think that then carried over to the Pixel range, but I think you're right. Latterly, or Joe is right. I think latterly they're trying to compete a little more with Apple and Samsung in particular, and you now see many more adverts on TV for Pixel phones and yeah, I guess well, Joe, you would know this, but I think their market penetration is still small compared to Apple or Samsung, right?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
growing. It's growing,
yeah.
but in absolute numbers, it's still very small. So it is kind of curious what the end game is. Are they trying to get? I'm making up a number, but let's say they've got 3%. Market saturation or market volume. Are they trying to get that 3? I don't know if that's the right number, but let's say it's probably somewhere around there. Are they trying to get from 3% up to 20%, or are they, or is it something else? Is it just a vehicle for showing Gemini, showing what Gemini can do, and Gemini is the real kind of long-term play because they can monetize that more than they can monetize the hardware. I don't know, but they seem to be putting a lot of resources into the hardware, and they still in absolute terms they're still very small fry.
Yeah. I think, like you say, the Gemini aspect of it is the most important, because even when you talk about their marketing, it's all very lifestyle, and they have Gemini in the forefront in the adverts.
They do.
These influencers a lot as well. Again, talking about Gemini, again at the forefront. They really want to push what Gemini can do.
Yeah. Talking about software, Gboard, a story went through this week, which was quite amazing, I thought, was that they're developing Gboard in order to understand sign language. So essentially what they're doing is building into Gboard for people who need to use sign language, to hook into their camera, their front-facing camera, to watch what they're doing in terms of sign language and turning it into text. Why has nobody thought of that before? Was my reaction.
Yeah.
And yeah, a good example of what Google are up to behind the scenes, I think.
Yeah, it's very clever, isn't it?
We'll get an update from Mr. Nut one day on this.
Yeah, quite possibly. Oh no, it's not for blind people, is it? It's for deaf people.
Yeah, but does he help?
Oh yeah, he might well help people with hearing impairments too. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And Joe, the Motorola Edge 70 Max. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I quite like the look of this. It's like a beautiful device. They always make beautiful looking devices, don't they? It's got the same chipset as the Signature, a nice big screen and a massive battery, which is what the Signature misses. The camera system isn't quite as good, is it, though? I'm not sure. No, actually, it's got the 50 megapixel. It might be quite good, actually. Yeah, I'm all for this phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their USP seems to be that they put it's the first. Well, it's not the first, but they're saying it's the first phone to have Qi 2 wireless charging coil on the back. In actual fact, the first, as we know, was the Skyline 2. And I've got the HMD Skyline, and I've got a story this week that suggested that HMD were going to bring out a new Skyline 2, and then about a day later they pulled the idea, and they said no, we're not doing that after all. So no Skyline 2, but yeah, certainly what the Edge 70 Max is claiming as its USP has already been done, whatever they tell you.
I was wrong, actually. It's the camera that's on the Edge 70 Pro.
Okay.
Probably still good, though.
But the 7,100 milliamp hour battery, I don't know if that's going to make it to Europe and the UK. How can it? I don't really...
I was just thinking that, because this is for India first, isn't it?
So by the time it gets here, it's going to be 5,200, no doubt.
Yeah, that'd be disappointing.
Which would take away the whole USB, I think, of the device, in my view.
In that case, stick with the Signature.
Yeah. Which is just as good. The Signature battery actually is really good, Joe.
Yes,
I've been using it again this week, as I mentioned earlier, and with my average use, I'm going to bed after long days in this summer heat, with 50%, 40% left in the tank. Now, I mean, everyone's use is different, obviously, and if you were out sightseeing and watching video all day, then you wouldn't get that kind of performance. But for me personally, I think it's okay, even though it is only, inverted commas, 5,200 milliamp hours.
Yeah, it lasted well for me. We just said we'd sacrifice the thinness for a bigger battery, wouldn't we? That was our main takeaway.
Yes.
That as much as we like it, we would sacrifice that. Yeah.
Indeed. Like the Fusion did. The Fusion, which I reviewed I think I spoke about that on the last show, but the Fusion was quite good.
And this Max here does as well, because it's not that thick, is it? Doesn't say the dimensions actually, does it? No, it doesn't. Doesn't look that thick though.
No. Right, before we go,
Joe, I was going to say.
Sorry, yep.
Sorry, I had a question for Joe. Joe, which manufacturers use the new battery technology? Is it silicon I want to say silicon carbide. That's not right, is it?
Silicon carbon. Yeah, it's
silicon carbon.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I think most other than Samsung and Apple, really. I think they're all
Google.
And Google, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think everyone else is. Honor are doing have the highest capacity, the highest amount rather of silicon carbon in the new V6. I can't remember what percentage it is now, but it's the highest percentage. So they're pushing it more because I don't know if you've seen that they did a thing with cards, a card trickster, and that was the new battery, how thin it was.
No, I didn't see it.
I didn't see that.
Is that like a YouTube thing or something?
Yeah, I'll have to try and dig it out somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it now. It's quite some time ago, and I had hands on with one of the cards that they were showing off on a Hero event. But yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, they're really pushing the boundaries with batteries like being thinner and more percentage of silicon carbon in there. But I guess it's still new tech, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some are shying away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. I think I remember reading anyway that although silicon carbon had more power, could deliver more power per amount of volume, I guess, that it could also expand. There were concerns over the fact that it was more likely to expand in situ than lithium-ion batteries. And
although don't forget that they are lithium-ion batteries. It's a branch off of lithium-ion, isn't it? Because I got caught out with that one when someone pulled me up and said, "Hang on a minute, it's not totally new technology. It's just that they've redone it," and I can't remember how they said now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I need to read up on it, but
because the V6 has 25% silicon carbon content for the global market and up to 32% in the Chinese market.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're doing that. Okay. I guess I was thinking, because I haven't read up on it, I was thinking they were doing it was an all or nothing, so they would just go 100% to the new technology. But what you're saying is it's a hybrid where they're mixing in the new technology, silicon carbon, alongside the old technology to get more capacity with less of the downside. Is that right?
I believe so. I'd have to swap up on it myself, but I know they talk about percentages, so yeah, I'm assuming
Gemma.
Yeah.
Where's Gemma?
Gemma. Where's Google's Gemma?
Yeah, well, that'll be my homework after this call, is to, because it hasn't hit any of my devices yet. I haven't really looked into it, but because I'm still, as I said earlier, I'm kind of Samsung Google, so they haven't adopted it yet. But
and nor have Nothing Phone, and nor have Sony. Who else have not adopted it? Sony's not a particularly big player, of course, but they certainly haven't done it in their new 1 Mark 8. And word is they're not doing it on the new 10 Mark 8 either, which is around the corner now. So, basically, it's the Far East, the Chinese boys that are doing it, isn't it? And Honor seem to be leading the way, as you said, probably with Huawei.
So this is quite interesting, Ted. So silicon carbon, as Malcolm was saying, expands up to 300% during charging. So yeah, that's why they use blends, I'm guessing. So there's high silicon blends like OnePlus 13, and there's some phones that are using a smaller blend.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how that would work in a very thin phone, like a foldable. when the battery is under charge or under discharge, if it's expanding and contracting, and yet the frame that it's held in is really, really thin. I was trying to get my head around how that would work. But I guess they're still evolving it, right? I mean, you would think that would find its way also into wearables, where for watches, where the battery life is even more important than phones, I guess, and earbuds and anything where you can only have a small battery in terms of volume. You'd think that they'd be trying to put that technology if the power delivery is more.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that one of the Honor phones were boasting about silicon. Oh no, here it is. Look, I just found it. It's the Oppo Watch X3 and the Xiaomi Watch 5. They have both got silicon carbon batteries in them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Mind you, those watches are both pretty chunky. They're big, compared to like a Pixel Watch or a Galaxy Watch. They're big devices for watches. Anyway, yeah, just interesting. I'll have to do some more research.
Oh, that's what it's called, the Honor Blade battery. They're saying it can cut fruit.
I remember that word coming up when we were talking before, blade. Yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff, which we obviously all need to find out more about. Just before we go, Joe, you picked a photo of the week, which I didn't. So do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, I was a good boy for once, wasn't I? I got right in there. It was actually one from Ian Furlong, because he's been posting quite a few in there. Now, I'm quite a fan of Forrest Gump. It's one of my favourite films. And it's the famous Forrest Gump Hill, Monument Valley, right, straight out of the Razr fold. I think it's a wonderful shot with you got the landscape in the background. The cloud, the form in the sky is really impressive, and even that alone is something to look at. And then the leading line with the road down the middle, it really appeals to me, that image.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry we can't share that with you, Malcolm, because on these drop-in we don't share the show notes. But it's an interesting, obviously a travel pic. He's over in America at the moment, no doubt. Ian Furlong, and he's testing out. He's one of our motivator crew,
yes.
So he's testing out moto stuff as well. So that can be our photo of the week. And you've even on a drop-in show picked something out of classifieds, haven't you?
I know. Yeah, well, actually, I've given you two here. Look, so I've got Daniel DeRocca has put up his Marshall Monitors free headphones. Beautiful headphones, 170 quid in black. Very, very nice. And also, Ashoka Pachauri has put in an Honor 100-watt wireless charger, which I'm very interested in, up for 60 quid. I think that's brand new. The headphones, by the way, they're only a day old, I think he says. So he's opened them up and he prefers another pair that he's got. But he says they're very comfortable.
I've got a pair of those in my possession, and they are absolutely the most comfortable headphones I've ever used. And the sound is fantastic, as you'd expect. The ANC, to be fair, is not quite as good as the Sony XM4s, but it really isn't far away. If the Sony XM4s are like 100, then these will be like 98 or something,
which is high praise. Yeah, that's very good.
Really, really good. So nice, well done for picking some stuff. Anyway, Classifieds group, if you want to join it in MeWe, you'll need to email me and talk to me about, as we try to control the membership there. But that's about it. We'll go now, and I'm sorry if you've been able to hear these fans going, but it's just too hot. We'll be back in when's our next show? I can't remember now. Is it in 2 weeks? 3rd of August. That's 2 weeks, isn't it?
It is, but we may put a show in, because
we might do
with Samsung's event, and see how we feel.
Yeah, absolutely. See, if there's enough to yak about, we might well do that. On the show on the 3rd of August, though, we've got Zain Shahid joining us, so that'll be interesting as well. Website, as I said earlier, is phoneShowChat.uk with 2 S's in the middle. The PodHub UK is where you'll find links to all the stuff we do. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that. It's at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. If you want to buy Joe one, it's paypal.me/Hickey85. And we thank you for that. If you get lost with any of this, it's all at tedsalmon.com, so you can find it there too. Thanks for dropping in, Malcolm. It's been great to chat with you and get your take on various topics. So I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, it's always good to chat with you guys. It was lovely to meet you, Joe, at the pub meet. That was really good fun.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
So keep up the good work.
Cool. Thanks a lot. And Joe, any last words?
No, actually, we're talking of pub meet. We'll have to sort out another one. I think that will probably be a winter one next, or autumn, winter, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure it's not hot.
We've got a pub meet leader who's in charge of that, Mr. Harpham. So he'll get on that. And hopefully I'll get to meet some more of you in the future, because it is wonderful to meet more of the community.
Excellent. Well done. You keep that going. We'll be back, if not next week, then the week after with Zain. And we'll catch you then. And until then, thank you very much for listening. And yes, catch you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.